Hello. Hi, Vinod.
Hi,
Good
Bhavesh.
conversation earlier, and we continue the topic on harnessing AI and unified commerce in retail.
Sure.
Uh, I'm sure everyone knows Vinod represents Trent. He's the head of IT there. Trent is one of the most iconic fashion brands in India, as we all know. And in terms of numbers, if we have to really give a kind of a prelude to this discussion and what we are looking forward for, Vinod, to have a good chat with you now. We are talking about over 1,000 plus fashion stores in India. We are talking about 240 odd cities, presence in 240 cities, I believe. We're talking about last year's revenue, 17, close to 18,000 crores, and a market cap, anyone can guess? If you guys are watching the Sensex, about 189,000 crores. That's some achievement for Trent, and really
Thank
kudos
you.
to that. And Vinod heads the IT for Trent. So Vinod, what's the growth mantra like for, if you have to just kickstart this discussion before we get into the real tech stuff, what's the growth mantra like for Trent? Look,
I think, Bhavesh, there's no mantra. It is just the fact that we try to keep it very, very simple. Don't complicate your lives with it. Is the simple, probably, if you may call it the mantra or whatever, but keep it simple and execute with passion. Maybe that is the way to look at it. And there are so many choices that you can make, actually, when you are doing something, especially with tech. While Trent as an organization also makes a lot of choices, the first and foremost was the fact that we continued to remain a private label brand right from 1998, where private label was not even probably at that point in time thought of. Or it was there, but obviously not 100% of it as a brand. So, and there were a lot of choices during the last 25, 26 years that Trent has existed that has actually made what Trent is. But on the tech side, there are a few choices that we have made to make sure that we fuel the growth and the scale that we are trying to operate on now. You would have realized since COVID, we have really put our foot on the accelerator and wanted to really go ahead and open as many stores. So obviously, tech plays a significant amount of role in that, and eventually having a simple choice of ensuring that your platforms are right, making a choice that your technology is right, it is scalable, and getting and executing it to a passion where we went live with ETB Post probably in 9 days. I think is what is required for this kind of growth that we are focusing on. So having the right platform, tech platform, having the right execution maybe is the key.
that's great. I also see that in the last maybe about 12 months to about 24 months, you've had a conscious strategy of moving to cloud. Maybe you can share something around that and as a build-up for what you see as a future for tech within, say, Trent Group.
So Bhavesh, one of the things that we decided way back in 2021, immediately after COVID, as we start coming out of COVID and start opening stores again, 2020, 2021, was the fact that we knew that we had to go through a very aggressive growth cycle. And we were on, I would not say obsolete, but archaic technology platforms that we said were doing our jobs, and we were kind of happy with it, but realized that if we continue to go for an aggressive growth like what we have planned, it will not be sufficient for it. So one of the biggest decisions that we took is to completely look at our platforms, the core platforms that we are operating on, be it my ERP, be it my point of sale, be it my warehouse management system, be it my product lifecycle management system. All of that, we looked at it and decided to revamp it and make it, first of all, robust so that the scale can be addressed. And beyond that, also make sure that it is scalable, obviously. Because the number of stores that we were planning were quite large. We still open about 250, 300 stores a year, which is probably quite large for the kind of reputation we had earlier. So one of the decisions that we took is, while the platform innovation was happening, the only way to have scalability and flexibility was to take a cloud-first approach. And that cloud-first approach eventually got culminated into everything that we were doing then. We realized that with the cloud adoption, we can obviously grow far more faster, be far more flexible, both in terms of how the usability is happening and how the utilization is happening, and eventually ensure that we are able to get the growth and the scalability that we are focusing on. So that was the starting point. And from there, it was just about moving ahead with that choice that we have made and sticking to it and ensuring that it delivers value to us.
I think that's really fascinating because the amount of growth which brands like Zudio has achieved in the last 12 months, and I know that it's including the international expansion, the future plans, maybe even more larger growth for some of those brands. You really need to have that scalable platform to be able to launch the whole business growth. Coming to unified commerce and customer experience, how is Trent approaching unified commerce to deliver a seamless experience across both physical and the digital or the online platform?
So I was speaking in the earlier session also. E-commerce for us is only Westside right now and not Zudio. And there is a purposeful reason that we are not going live with Zudio on e-commerce. Having said that, obviously Westside continues to be a large part of the portfolio for Trent. And because Westside requires the omni-channel commerce behavior, the unified commerce behavior, it is very, very important that we actually sync ourselves to that. One of the first strategies that we have started doing is to start doing shipping from stores instead of just the warehouses, which was way back a decision made, a choice made, where we said we will have a unified inventory for our customer that is coming online. The way we look at it is, frankly, whichever point is the customer coming from, or whichever channel is the customer coming from, whether it is offline channel or the online channel, we will look at customer as one, and we'll show the same inventory to both the channels, and let the customer choose where she wants to pick it from. Whether it is the online channel, if she orders from, or she comes to a physical store and takes it, whoever will ask for it first will get it. So that was a simple choice that we made to start with. Post that, we made some other choices which were primarily to ensure that how can I sync up my loyalty program with online to ensure that all the benefits that I'm giving to my customer in an offline store is also available online. So there were some actions done towards that. We eventually, our philosophy again towards unified commerce was actually very simple. It was a three-prong approach. The first one is to create a unified customer where we don't differentiate customer as per channels. That was the first one. The second one was the fact that we will continue with having a unified inventory irrespective of which channel is the customer coming from. And the third one, and probably the most important one, is to have a single price across channels. We don't differentiate prices across customers coming from online channel or offline channel. We have the same price across, where typically an e-commerce behavior is always that the price is different versus what a physical store would have. We made that choice that we will not do that. 5 months of the year, and the 6th month is end of season sale anyways, which is where both the prices again drop down for the discounted merchandise that we sell. But those three choices actually is what defines our unified approach.
Right. I think unification of the whole source of data, whether it's customer, product, price, really goes a big way in creating that customer experience, regardless of the channel from where the customer is shopping. Trent works with a huge amount of data, like millions of customers, millions of invoices a day, I hope in a year. How do you leverage this data? How do you look at insights of the business and help business to take timely decisions?
So as I mentioned, the platform change that we did also including new technologies like data lake. We are using a Microsoft Azure data lake, Azure Synapse Analytics, and we have unified that data into multiple applications data into a single data lake, and using that we do all our analytics now. So earlier, which was where the databases were islands of data sitting into multiple applications and trying to make sense of only the critical data that was sitting and which was required for the business and harness it manually, we migrated into this data lake where all the data, and not just the critical data, but all the data started coming in, and we could derive a lot more insights and outcomes that we could do, that we could not do earlier manually. So that obviously helped a lot. Having said that, it is not just that it's a magic pill that you have a data lake in place and it works for you. It is never the case. Obviously, there are enough use cases available where data lake also is not helping you out for a lot of customers. So there was also a requirement that you have a team who is doing this full time for you, who is able to connect, sit in the business side of the technology and actually make sense on how the business is looking at information and actually converting that into a tech kind of an outcome for the business to consume. So there was a lot of focus done on building a proper team, which actually helped in not just the technology absorption, but also the technology outcomes that were being focused upon. So having a proper team in place, having the right technology in place, and it's an ongoing thing, by the way. It's not that we have achieved and we are done with it. It's an ongoing thing that keeps on changing every time, every probably couple of months, you have to look at it differently. So yeah, it's an ongoing process that is on right now.
Great. I was hoping you will mention something about use of AI, ML, and getting some insights there. So let's talk about AI, Vinod. And I heard you earlier in the session talking about it, early movers, not early movers. Very frankly, how do you look at it, as a IT professional, as a leader, technology leader in the industry, and also in terms of how do you, what would be your recommendation to colleagues and to retailers of how to approach this actually? Yes, it's, everyone has their own version. There may not be measurable use cases, for example, at this point in time. But I think as an organization, as a retail expert, one would surely like to understand how to build it up. You mentioned about standardizing in terms of your core technology. Then you're looking at it in terms of scalability for the business, which can help the growth. Then what's next? Can we use any other technology to be able to enhance the customer experience or help the business to be able to scale faster? So how do you see in that context, one, how someone can approach, leveraging AI, ML technology? And second, your personal experience on it, and where do you see your immediate, so as to say, use cases?
Sure. So Bhavesh, one very important thing that we as an organization do is, especially in the fashion apparel part of it, is we present a point of view to our customers every Friday. Now, this is something that we see, we learn out of the trend spotting and the trend analysis that we do. We realize what works for Indian customers and eventually plan and launch new options every Friday. But whatever said and done, at the end of it, it is a point of view of a buyer who is buying for that particular category or a subcategory that she's operating, or the brand that she's operating, and actually presenting it to the customer and hoping that it works for it. And touch wood, frankly, it works a lot of times. So it is very, very important that that creative process is obviously not being touched upon with additional technology. That's working for us. But what AI can do is beyond the core processes that are running in our business. This was just an example that I was giving, but there are so many such processes that run for us, be it in buying, be it in sourcing, supply chain, and so on and so forth. But what AI can do to start with is to start focusing on ancillary processes where there is a lot of work which is probably unnecessarily being done or not as much intelligently done. And that can be a game changer to start with. On a personal front, if you ask me, Bhavesh, AI is here to stay. We know that. It's not that it is a fad and it will phase away or whatever. It is definitely not the case. It is here to stay. But how to adopt over a period of time is what the strategy of the business or the strategy of the organization or an individual for that matter has to be defined very, very clearly. Our approach towards AI is actually, again, keeping it simple to the fact that let's start with the ancillary processes that are running for us. and see what is the outcome, what maturity levels are you getting, what accuracy levels are you getting out of that, and keep going inward. So it's as if you're starting on the edge of the circle, and imagine a concentric circle where core business is right at the center, and you start at the edge of the concentric circle and you keep going inside layer by layer and eventually reach the core. But reaching the core is a time-consuming exercise, which it will take its time and maturity. But having said that, start at the outer circle first and then grow from there.
And I must say, Vinod, just to add to what you just now mentioned, and to your earlier conversation in the panel discussion, leaders like you need to take the early mover advantage. And I'm talking about it as an advantage. It's not just about trying it out or a POC. As we see across the region where we implement the ETP solutions, we really see a lot of you can benefit in terms of how you can really leverage it. And like you rightly said, it could be in those ancillary functions in the organization. Before you can say it matures to the touch point of the customer, where you can really impact seamlessly. Yeah, it's like the behind the scene kind of an experience from a customer perspective. I really like the way you've approached it over as a IT strategy in terms of building the whole standardization, scalable, kind of a platform, and then launching new initiatives on top of that. I guess I would like to close this discussion and just check if the audience has any questions. We have a few minutes there in case anyone has any questions there. Yeah, I can take any questions if you have for Vinod. All right. Just one last comment, Vinod, from your side. What would you like to see from technology partners like us, ETP, to make AI and unified commerce more accessible and impactful for Trent?
So building on the comment that I made, first mover advantage is no longer an advantage, but I would want partners like you to actually start innovating a lot more and look at various technology options that are available and build it in your product and give it to us retailers as a product rather than an experiment. And that is something that I think there's a lot of value that can be created both for the partner as well as for the retailer, because eventually a product is something that we all try to work on. Whatever said and done, Bhavesh, while I run the IT department for Trent, I am a retailer first and an IT technologist later.
Yes.
Right? And I want to make sure that my business continues to run. And if that is what I want, I don't want to get into a technical IT evaluation of technology and eventually do the best technology which probably doesn't give me the ROI or probably the outcome that I'm looking for. And that's where partners like you actually come in place, and they can actually do all the, if I may say so, the hard work that is required for it and bring the right technology to us, and we'll be more than happy to adopt.
Great, Vinod. Thank you. Thank you for that insight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.